everybody. Welcome to another episode of Checking In. I'm Leon Thomas with Miranda Kitterlin Lynch. We are the host of Checking In. Hi, Miranda. How are you?
I am awesome, Leon. How are you?
Right on. I am really, really groovy.
Okay, tell me
Yeah,
more.
I am groovy. So, folks, we record these episodes of Checking In, and it's the afternoon. It's the early afternoon on recording day, and I had not had lunch, and I needed something quick to eat. I went to the fridge, got bean pie. I got bean pie, a small bean pie, right? Just a couple slices of small bean pie with a bottle of water, and now I am pumped up, feeling good, energized, nutritionized, and everything. I am all good thanks to bean pie.
All right, I'm going to let you have that one. I'm not going to give you the mom lecture about nutritional value and the sugar crash. I'm just going to let you have it. I'm not going to give you the Miranda lecture about how there's no such thing as bean pie. So I'm glad that you're groovy and I'm glad that you're living your best life.
I am living my best life now. There's something I want to ask you. In a previous conversation you and I were having offline, you mentioned that your husband heard our theme music playing and he was dancing. Do you
Good.
have a video of that, or would you be willing to do that? Because I think our producers would love to show that in the opening.
I will try my very best to get a video because a it's adorable among many other adjectives that we could use.
Yes. Folks, so we're looking forward to that happening. Folks, listen, we'd love to have you as part of our show. You're able to listen now on all podcast platforms. So thank you for doing that. Make sure you share it with a friend, share it with a colleague, share it with your enemies too. It's okay to do that. And of course, you can still watch on LinkedIn, YouTube, and on other social medias. If you want to be a guest on the show, you can contact me. Again, my name is Leon. You can email me. My email address is leon at theleonthomasgroup.com. Again, that's leon at theleonthomasgroup.com. And it's easy to get in touch with Miranda. Go ahead.
I'm literally everywhere. Just type my name into your search engine to LinkedIn to anything. You're going to find me even if you don't want to.
There you go. So make sure that y'all do that. Get in touch with her or me, and we'd love to have you on the show. All right. So Miranda, we have this is going to be a great show. I mean, they're all really, really good shows, but we've got just a topic we haven't talked about before. A guest that's a first time visitor to our platform. Let's bring on our guest today, Annie Sloan. Hi, Annie. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you so much for being on. I'm really excited about this conversation because I think it's a topic that we haven't dived into, which is surprising because it's such an important topic, especially in this day. But I think it's just going to be such a fun conversation and a valuable conversation. So thank you for being here. Before we go any further, if you wouldn't mind sharing with our listeners, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, my name is Annie Sloan, and I am the CEO and co-founder of a software company called The Host Co. And our software services short-term rentals. And the short-term rental category is, of course, things like Airbnb, VRBO, but it is also villas, cabins, campsites, even same-day rental, things like Peer Space. I want to rent a space for a day, even a co-working space where you rent a seat for the day. But a lot of that is that Airbnb, VRBO market.
Which is so big. I literally just booked an Airbnb last week. I remember when it first came out, it was like, oh, I don't know about this. I was very skeptical, and now it's just an accepted norm, right?
Yeah, it is I think the valuation of the industry was at 250 billion. and it is growing. And it took a really big leap during COVID. So awareness of short-term rentals, part of that was like 3 of 10 people had stayed in an Airbnb, or Airbnb is like saying Kleenex. I'm going to say short-term rental because there's so much more than that, right? 3 of 10 people had awareness of short-term rentals and felt comfortable in them. But when people couldn't leave the country, people were stuck in their houses and they just wanted to get 2 hours away in the car, they didn't want to be in a hotel, that jumped to 8 of 10 people had either stayed in or had strong awareness around short-term rentals. And that has continued on since that time, especially just with the internet, right? You're able to find those much more easily. And generally the people that you go with, they're like, oh, I get it. We're going to go to this, house for the weekend together.
Yeah, that definitely was what got us, our family, more comfortable, was during the pandemic, having 2 very, very little kids stuck in the house. Going to Airbnbs gave us the flexibility to be able to provide them everything they wanted comfortably and still a new experience so that they weren't driving us crazy.
Yes, exactly.
So tell me a little bit about how you found yourself in this space.
Oh my gosh. So I am in Oakland, California. I'm a Silicon Valley, person. Prior to the Host Co., I was a creative director at Facebook. Prior to that, I was a creative director at Twitter. Prior to that, I was working on creative at things like Google. I worked for some creative at Samsung. I was generally in the product space as a creative. So that means that I was working with video to tell people how products worked, why they worked. I worked in film before that as well. So I was just doing a lot of very tech creative stuff. And I have been a short-term rental host since the nascent age of Airbnb. What I would do at that time is I would be like, oh yeah, I want to go travel. I'm just going to rent out my house. People thought I was crazy. People are like, you're going to have strangers staying in your house, right? But I was young and, sure, whatever, send me a photo of your license, you can stay. I can go visit my sister in Guatemala for 2 weeks and not have to, pay for my trip. So I have been doing short-term rentals really since the beginning of short-term rentals. And I now own a short-term rental, and I have some mid-term rentals as well. So working in tech, I started to see these patterns in short-term rentals of every Saturday night, my guests would text me and say, hey, we're out of firewood. Where can we find some? And it's midnight. They're outside of Joshua Tree, California, 30 miles from a store. Oh, sorry, right? Or every guest repeatedly asking, can we get a late checkout? And, when you get that text or that message, it is 9:30 p.m. on a Friday night and you're at the bar with your spouse, right? So there was just this huge hole in the things that short-term rentals didn't do that hotels do. I think a lot of us, if you say, would you rather stay at a short-term rental or a hotel? You're going to say, I'm going to choose a hotel because it has room service, because they'll clean my room every day, because they have a concierge, because they have a gift shop if I need Band-Aids downstairs, right? So all those amenities have long been missing from short-term rentals, but guests kept asking for them over and over again. So I said, we're going to try and fix this. We're going to make some software that is a little storefront, digital storefront, and we're going to share it with our guests when they book. And it's going to tell them, you can buy firewood. Here's where you request a late checkout. It's $25 an hour. Here's our local restaurant. You're going to get $1 off a latte. Hey, everyone's asking about our sheets, where we got them. Guess what? We got them at Parachute. Here is a discount code to Parachute. All of these things that these guests were asking. It's funny because my initial thing was, I just want fewer questions, right? I want fewer questions when people book, but then you have the revenue side, which is you were able to make extra revenue from everything from massage therapy, because, hey, we can book that for you and, pass that along to the massage therapy company in town. We can make affiliate income on your open table reservation. We can sell you that firewood. So it started to become a revenue stream as well as something that was just very helpful for keeping track of guest requests, right? We launched that. My co-founder and I, he has built 2 large property management and real estate companies. We launched that in 7 houses. And in the first month of activity in these 7 houses, 93% of guests opened the store, which I have a crazy insight to share about that. And 40% of guests made a purchase. And if you know retailing on the internet, it is like 0.04, right? So there was this desire that people wanted to buy things, wanted to have upgrades. And that's when I quit my job at Facebook, probably preemptively, and said, okay, we're going to build a real product. We're going to raise money. And that was, 4 years ago.
That is such a cool journey. And I love that it seems to have been organically inspired by life happening around you and recognizing a need. That is really, really cool.
Thank you. I feel like with entrepreneurship, the starting with not with hey, we're going to find something to make money, starting with here is a problem that I have that I want to solve is such a stronger way in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it. You just wanted fewer questions.
Yeah.
You wanted your phone to stop ringing. You wanted the text messages to stop. What can I do to stop this?
Yeah.
And now look at what you have now.
Yeah.
Right on. This is great. Now, y'all were talking about, the use of short-term rentals. Can I share my story with you? Check it out. I've never stayed at a short-term rental.
What?
I've never stayed at a short-term rental. I've never done it. I'm an old head in the industry. When I travel, I call a friend and say, "Hey, do you know somebody that can hook me up with a room?" And I get a free room or an employee discounted rate or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, my favorite hotel in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania was an Econo Lodge. Right? It was the cleanest, sharpest Econo Lodge ever. And I called my friend Rocky Patel and I said, Rocky, I want to come up in May. I want to come to Pittsburgh in May. And he said, Leon, I sold the hotel. They're going to tear it down. They're going to do something else with it. I'm like, what? I called another friend who owned a hotel in the Pittsburgh area. He doesn't have it anymore. Like, where am I going to stay? I'm not paying full price, right? I'm still trying to find somewhere to stay. Now, I've never stayed at a short-term rental, but my wife has. She's been on 2 sister vacations with her 3 sisters. And one of her sisters, she will never stay in a hotel again. She's all about short-term rentals.
Yeah.
And my wife says, "Oh, we're going to stay." I think they were in uh, Scottsdale, Arizona, and she says, "We're going to stay in a short-term rental. We're going to stay." They use the generic, the Airbnb, right? I understand that's Kleenex, right? And I'm like, you want to stay at a hotel? Yeah, I mean, how you know it's going to be clean? How you know this? I'm throwing all this stuff out there, and she says, "I'm going to do it." And she texted me pictures and said, "This place is awesome." And then when they went to Savannah last summer, they did the same thing.
Yeah.
So my wife is now trying to push me that the next time we travel, we will stay at a short-term rental. That's kind of my rant for the show also. All right. That's kind of my rant. I've never done it. So now I'm sure folks are going to contact me and say, Leon, get with the times, stay at a short-term rental. You've got to get with the program. I know, Miranda, when I said I hasn't stayed at one, you're like, what? What are you doing? So I'm sure that pressure will be on me soon. Okay. Enough of my rant. Here's back to our conversation. So you mentioned that the guest, is that what they're called when you stay when you rent a short-term rental? Are they called guests, or is there another term that's used?
I would assume so.
It is guest. Okay. All right. So the guest checks into the home. How do they find out about your site and your app? How do they find out about it? Is it a QR code they scan? Is it email? How do they find out about it?
So when a guest books a short-term rental, if it's Airbnb, VRBO, or direct booking, which is growing very, very fast, or Google Travel or Booking.com, when they book, right after they book, they receive a message in their booking platform, just like you do with anything. Hey, thanks for booking. We're confirming your stay. We're so excited to have you stay. If you'd like to add any upgrades, exclusive items, or local services like massage, chef, and more, check out our storefront. And sharing that right after they book has some really big benefits. One, it's setting expectations of what they can add. It's setting expectations that there are perhaps prices for that. So late checkout or mid-stay clean, or, extra towel or linen refresh, or, extra recycling pickup for your party, all of those things. It's also showing them where to find those things. So prior to this, the guests would just have to manually message you. And if you have 10 rentals, you got 10 of the same questions every day. If you have 8 condos in Chicago that you're short-term renting and 2 parking spots, you're going to be answering questions all day, every day. Can I get your 1 parking spot? Oh, is it sold out this day? So all of these things being organized into a storefront is very visual, right? So not only is the guest going to have their expectations set, they're going to start thinking about, ooh, we could add a yacht charter for a day to our trip. We could add a mid-stay clean, right? And often they actually don't buy anything at that time. It's kind of like we call it the post-booking flow. When you buy a plane ticket and they offer you insurance and a rental car, you generally do not take it, right? But it is setting up like, oh, we should maybe get those things, right? So what happens next is generally 1 week before the guest stays, the host sends out another message. We're so excited to have you stay. We'll give you check-in instructions, 2 days before the stay. If you'd like to add anything, many things have a lead time. Check out what's available. And that is often when people will buy items for their stay. Oh yeah, let's do massages. Let's get a yoga instructor to come to the house for a girls' weekend. Oh, what we should do is we should have that hibachi night guy, because we have our 3 families there with all of our kids and we don't want to cook one night. So all of those things in one place leading up to the stay. And then also many hosts have QR codes right in their guidebook, but often it's really all about the planning stage. Before the stay is where people want to know what's available and will book what's available.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's so smart, because you're really like, I keep thinking about your example of like, here's where we got our sheets from and here's a coupon code. You're really creating an opportunity for multiple entities, right? When you take advantage of this, not to mention giving yourself less questions to answer.
Yeah, it's so funny because I started out with my own needs, and then there's this kind of altruistic other side where a host can add their own vendors. So a good example is like, hey, I've got a beach house in North Carolina beaches, and everybody always asks about portrait photography because they want their family photos on the beach in the summer for their holiday shot, right? And my sister's a portrait photographer. I know the best portrait photographer in town. We add people at the host co, we add local services, but we enable the host to add that service themselves. And on the back end, when the guest says, we're interested in 2 hours of portrait photography at this day, at this location, we're this many people, can you fulfill this service? We hold that guest credit card info and we push that request to that photographer. And so the photographer can say, yes, I'm available at this day at this time. And now and I'm going to click, yes, I'm available. It's going to process that credit card info and connect that guest and that local business, so then they can work it out themselves. But we have essentially set up all of the communication that was needed to get that thing going in the first place.
It makes so much sense. It's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, this is just outstanding. I so much love it. And in the hotel world, we used to try to, my background is in training in hotels, and we used to always tell our general managers and directors of sales that you need to have connections.
Yeah.
And those connections can help sell the rooms, particularly when it comes to groups, or can make sure that guest comes back when a guest comes to the front desk and says, I need
yes.
Right? If you could say, oh, I know somebody, and then better yet, if you could pick up the phone and have a personal relationship with them, right?
Yeah.
Hey, it's Leon over at the Hampton Inn. I have a guest that needs photos now.
Yeah.
You could make it happen, right? We're talking with Annie Sloan with the Host Co. You want to check out their website. It's thehost.co. You want to check it out and listen to the rest of this conversation. Just some great things happening here. I mean, this is just great stuff. And the whole business aspect of why you started it, that's like a whole crazy other subject beyond, what you do, right? And how it's a win for so many people. Annie, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back from the break, we're going to continue our conversation about the Host Co. and about short-term rentals. and then we'll get into our 3 signature questions of the show.
Great.
Folks, we'll be right back after this short break.
Announcing the newest show from the Leon Thomas Group, Cooking with Kids in the Kitchen.
Each week, we're going to have kids on the show in their home kitchen, showing us their culinary expertise right here on Cooking with Kids in the Kitchen. If you know of a kid that would be great to have on Cooking with Kids in the Kitchen, contact Leon Thomas with the Leon Thomas Group.
His email address is leon@theleonthomasgroup.com.
That's leon@theleonthomasgroup.com.
Cooking with Kids in the Kitchen.
At Rod's Car Repairs, we work on all cars, old cars, new cars, and your car. Car Repairs by Rod.io.
Baked by Brianna has been your Baltimore hometown bakery since 1969. Located in Roxton Plaza, Baked by Brianna. Visit bakedbybrianna.io.
From the creative team that brought you the Browning Project and Dead by Morning comes a new thriller that will change the way you look at white-collar crime forever. Falling from the Sky.
I'm Leon Thomas with the Leon Thomas Group. Podcast, virtual events, webinars, streaming shows, and so much more. We want to be your partner in all things virtual.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Checking In. Leon Thomas and Miranda Kitterlin Lynch. We are the hosts of Checking In. Our guest today is Annie Sloan with the Host Co. This is some great stuff that Annie, that you have going on. Folks, again, go to their website to learn more about it. Go to thehost.co to learn more about everything that's great going on there. So let's say you're watching this and you say, I don't own an Airbnb or whatever else, because I keep using that term. See how they've got it in my head, Airbnb?
Yeah.
You don't own a short-term rental, right? You still need to check this out, because you may stay at one and you'll know what's expected, how it's all going. But I know a lot of you that watch this show, you do own short-term rentals, and you need to get in touch with Annie. And when you contact Annie, say, I learned about you from Checking In. Right? That's what you do. That's what you do. So anyway, back to our conversation here. Go ahead, Miranda.
So just to, it would be remiss of me not to pull out the professor hat real quick and just let you know that when we call something Airbnb, when we just refer to every short-term rental as an Airbnb, what that's called is a proprietary eponym. Proprietary eponym. How do I know that? I just looked it up because I forgot. So don't be too impressed. Annie, let me ask you. So just thinking as far as starting your own business, I know a lot of my students are so amazing at recognizing problems, just as you had, and thinking of businesses that would solve for these problems. What is one operational challenge that arose for you that you didn't necessarily expect?
Oh, gosh.
And how did you overcome it?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. So many. I mean, let's see. You have the ideation stage. You have that immediate, like, we're going to be billionaires. This idea is amazing. But it really is all about verifying that with actual revenue, right? It is about, you can get people to use something all day long if it's free, but how are you making that a business? I think that's, there's this narrative about startups and it goes crazy, but it's a business. a startup is just generally a small business. Sometimes it's because it has venture capital, but that's number one. The second thing is the product that we started with is nothing like the product we have today. And that is because we made a little product. I like to say, make it real, then you can make it pretty later. Our original product, we started to see how people were using it totally differently than we thought. The first thing was on-site sales, and we would unlock information about a location on the receipt. So, firewood is in the garage, code is 1234, or, yada, yada. And then people started to add services themselves. So we were scrambling to build products that were, hey, you can request something. And then the third thing is people wanted us to go find all those vendors for them, right? So we set up a queue of, you can tell us who you recommend in your area, and we will start vetting them and bringing them onto the platform. And it has just been completely user driven. And instead of being generally a guess of what people are going to want, it's been us scrambling to keep up with the way people are using it. And they want the way they want to use it, right? I think when you have a great idea, it's all about the proof of other people using it that are not you, right? Because there are some mistakes we made where I'm like, this is the way people are going to use it, right? We need categories. Nobody cares about categories. They just want to have things the way they want them, right? So that has been one of the biggest learnings is just always talking to users, right? We have demos every day where the users tell us what they want. Without that, you're just in this vacuum, right?
That's good advice for any business, right? Yeah. Listen to who's using your product. Absolutely. And sorry, Leon, do I have time for one more question? Or
yeah.
Okay. So I guess my last thing would be, how do you keep that balance of high tech, high touch? So meaning that you're in the hospitality industry, a people business. How do you maintain that balance of having the high tech AI things plus that personal service touch?
Yeah, I think that what we are doing, I have long said, is automating the stuff that is just as repetitive tasks and freeing up space for added personalization. So personalization is such a big buzzword right now in all of hospitality, but being able to automate, let me put it this way. Being able to say, hey, you know what, you not only can have at this property a pet fee, you can have a deluxe pet experience where we'll get it'll be 2 bowls that say dogs love Sedona, Arizona, right? And a handkerchief, and have that in the rental. People love their pets. That is added personalization, but it is not high touch, right? It is not writing down, oh, it's their anniversary tomorrow. It's them seeing, oh, there's fresh flowers available. If they book that, one of our concierges will say, oh, is it a special occasion? Oh, would you like to add something else to that? And that is all visible to the host. So we are kind of making both of those things happen simultaneously, taking out the grunt work and making it a better experience for the guest, and also one that gives them so much more to talk about. This is going to be a bit. So what I mean by that is when that guest comes home 2 weeks later, what is the story they're telling their cousin when they're at, out to dinner? Oh, we stayed at this place, and it's not generally, oh, the design was good. It's, oh, they had this crazy pool with this one thing, or, they were connected to all these local wellness services. So we had a sound bath person come in, a Reiki healer, and it was so cool. We were out by the pool. That's the story, right? Otherwise, it's not personalized. And that's what that person is taking with them. That's why they come back. That's why they tell their friend. That's word of mouth. So their friend goes and stays there. So it's just taking care of all of the stuff up front that just should be not such a repetitive task, right?
This is awesome. I just love it. I'm in love with your idea. I think it is just brilliant. This is great.
Yeah, this is great. And I'm over here thinking, what problems do I have? Shh, don't text me and all and say, Leon, you got a lot of problems. Don't do that. Don't do that. But I'm thinking, what business problem and how can I solve it, right? But I'm also thinking specifically about the hotel industry, right? And the industry of short-term rentals. What other things that are out there that guests experience, owners experience, and wow, they're could be so many opportunities here. You're actually motivating people. Annie, I hope you recognize that. I mean, I know your business, the Host Co, is successful, but you're also motivating people to think beyond anything that they could ever imagine. So give yourself kudos for that too.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're doing some good stuff, but hearing your story just motivates others. All right, it's now time for our signature questions, Annie. I know you're tech, right? So do you have a pen near you? A pen, a regular ink pen? Okay.
I'm very specific. I bet you guys are too with my pens.
You know, as we record, this is like one of the few times that I use a pen. Okay. And I don't know why, but I had like 5 of them piled up over here on my workstation. And I'm like, where did all these pens come from? It's because they're scattered around the other junk that I have on the desk. That's why and I just keep pulling them. But anyway, put it up here. We're going to give our signatures because it is now, by the way, before we go into the signatures, Miranda, I've noticed that your signature, my signature, and the signatures of the guests, they take up the entire screen. These are some long signatures,
Well, my
right?
signature is going to be long because there's like 7,000 letters in my name.
That's true too. But I mean, it's like it goes all the way over. It's like, is your signature really like that long? Okay, I understand from you. I get it. I get it. Okay, here we go. It's now time for the make our signature questions of the show. Okay, Annie, it's actually 3 questions. It just makes for a better banter coming out of the video to say there's 3 other than 2. It just makes it better.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 1. Have you ever had a Maryland crab cake?
Yes.
Where?
Probably in Maryland. But even on the West Coast, that's what they're advertised as.
Check.
It's called a Maryland.
No. That's a partial check. You had a Maryland crab cake in Maryland. If you're on the West Coast and they're calling it, see, in Maryland, we call it crab cake. It's not Maryland crab cake.
Yeah.
You're on the West Coast. If you've had a Maryland crab cake or a Maryland style crab cake, excuse my language, you ain't had crab cake.
Is this your rant? Is this the rant of the show?
Oh no, this is my second rant of the show. Yeah, and depending on the answer to the next question, there might be more.
Oh
Yeah,
my.
there might be more. There's a problem. How do we get Leon to stop ranting? Okay, so again, if you go somewhere, Annie, and it says Maryland crab cake,
Okay.
no, that's not it. Okay, but you had a Maryland crab cake in Maryland somewhere, so that's a win.
We're good.
Yeah.
That's a win. We won't even go down the racket sport route. We're going to leave that one alone. Have you ever had bean pie?
No, I was just nodding along. I have no idea what that is.
Okay, you've never heard of it, right?
Never.
It's not real. It can't be. I've never seen it. I've been all over the world. I love to eat. I've never seen a bean pie. Leon showed me something labeled bean pie earlier today, and I was like, wow, you took a lot of time to fake that label.
There is a bean pie special edition of Checking In that's available on Miranda's LinkedIn, on my LinkedIn, on the Leon Thomas Group social media. There is such. She thinks it's fake news. It's for real. We even have President Barack Obama in this show saying, okay, it's AI generated, but it's still, he's saying bean pie is real.
Stop using my idols against me.
Bean pie is real. So there we go. All right, racquetball or pickleball?
Oh, probably racquetball.
Oh, thank God.
Mwah! Yes.
My blood
You're
pressure.
welcome. You're welcome on the show anytime. Anytime. Yes. I run the largest youth racquetball program in the country called Racquetball Revival. Check out the website Racquetball Revival. And yes, thank you, Annie. Throw that pickle stuff out of here. Pickles are on burgers, and that's it. Okay, a Chick-fil-A sandwich too. But anyway, that's it for my rants and questions. Miranda, over to you.
All right, Annie, I'm going to close this out with my question for you, which is if you could go back in time and give your 20-year-old self one piece of advice, pearl of wisdom, or affirmation, anything, what would it be?
It would be that, oh gosh. That there are a lot of them. I would say the thing that I've learned over time is your wins happen one step. You're climbing a mountain, right? There's no escalator, and sometimes you get a boost, and you find a little escalator, and then you're back to just walking and up the hill, right? And so many of the things we're doing are just consistent work every day, and that is not exciting. But then there's the reward that's the exciting part, right? And I think we're all like, oh, it's not fun enough, or I'm not seeing enough action, right? But that's generally not how things work. I mean, it's the same thing with exercise, or a little bit of consistent work over time is much more powerful than I mean, the movies are the movies for a reason. I would love to say that, and I've had some of those movie moments where I'm like, I can't believe this is real, right? But often it's the not exciting stuff. It's putting in the work each day that results in a much more in a stable business as well, rather than something that is like a spike and then you're done, right?
That is awesome advice. And I think you could apply that to not only business, but multiple aspects of life. Absolutely. Yeah. Phenomenal. So if I have any students that are listening, every evening that you spend doing those assignments, that homework, it's the little things, the little work you're doing that's going to make the big moments, right? Right? Annie, thank you so much for coming and chatting with us. This has been so fun.
Yes, it has been so fun. Thank you for having me. I hope everyone has a great Friday.
Right.
Thank you too.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you for being here. And Miranda, wow, just another great guest. We are just you're bringing on some like superstars here to our show. So much appreciated.
I only know cool people.
Yeah, right on. That's true. Yeah. So, folks, thanks for watching this episode of Checking In. Share it with your friends, share it with your colleagues, share it with your enemies. And if you know someone who wants to be on the show, have them contact me, Leon at Leon Thomas Group, or they can contact Miranda, because all you do is search her name and she ain't hard to find. Right? Just search her name. Thanks again for watching Checking In. We'll see you next time.